The South African Federation of Trade Unions, that's Saftu for short, says it will not be joining the Cosatu Day of Action. Saftu General Secretary Zwelinzima Vavi joining us now to give us reasons as to why you're not joining forces with Cosatu, Mr. Vavi, because I suspect the issues that they are striking about, they also do affect your members.
Yes, they do, Koli. Good morning to you. The issues that Cosatu is raising on today's general strike and demonstrations are exactly the same issues that are finding comfort in the hearts of millions of workers in South Africa, including Saftu members. So there's no debate about the issues, the legitimacy of the demands that they are taking up. The issue that made us not to join the strikes are several. The first one is that, yes, we met the leadership of the Federation, Cosatu, and in that discussion, we raised a number of issues. We said that, firstly, they are coming to us on the last moment, and we have not mobilized members. We have no mandate. We sought to ensure that at least we bring the leadership of the Federation on board about the issues. We needed time. We asked them to consider postponement, and we asked for a postponement so that we can together prepare thoroughly for a joint mass demonstration and strikes going forward, not as a once-off, but as part and parcel of a sustained program of mass mobilization that will be led by the working class. We ask for them to consider a call we are making for the convening of a worker summit and a convening of a broader working class summit, so that we can build unity from below. We can analyze the crisis that is facing the working class from the perspective of the working class. And we said to them, in our view, if there was to be a political analysis of the crisis that is facing the unemployed, the workers, the attacks on the collective bargaining, the austerity programs that lead to the cut in budgets, and the state of our schools, police station, correctional services, and as well as all the services that the government is providing. At the center of that will put the ANC as one of the key players that lead to the crisis that we are facing. Of course, overall is that we are facing the attacks from the capitalist system, but that system is being ably assisted, abated by the ANC and with its biggest supporters in this context, the Democratic Alliance. So we said, let's go and do that analysis so that we can build a genuine unity from the floor up, and that we can then lead the struggle together. The leadership of the Federation didn't convene their meetings to consult and to convey the pleas Saftu was making to them. And when they didn't do that, the Federation leadership, Saftu, decided that no, we will not be part of something that smells. It smells that Cosatu on the eve of next year's elections that they've already said to the country that they will do everything in their power. They will leave no stone unturned into ensuring that the workers, the poor, the marginalized, that they are mobilizing today, will be voting for the ANC. And we said that, and hold on, we can't be party to this. If Cosatu wants to strengthen its voice in the workers in order to ask workers to continue to vote for their West butchers, let them do that on their own. We can't be part of that. We support the demands, but we're quite suspicious about the political agenda that they are pursuing.
Well, it's easy, Mr. Vavi, to get lost in the politics, not just of the labor movements in the country, but Cosatu ANC politics, which is what you are pointing to. Let me bring your attention to a tragedy that is unfolding before our eyes this morning. 17 people, included among them 3 children, have died in the area of Boksburg, and that has to do with illegal mining activity that is going on there. I'm not saying this, it is the people that are surrounded by the so-called Zamazamas that are saying exactly these words. Would it not be prudent, you think, for Cosatu to say, let's reconsider? The very people we represent as an ordinary people, they are dead because of an activity that has been intractable in the country. Do you think that that would be a reasonable call to make to Cosatu today?
Are you suggesting that they shouldn't go ahead with the strike because somewhere last night this would have happened?
I'm suggesting that they stop the strike and say, because of what has occurred in Boksburg, we're stopping this and we are actually going to go to Boksburg to throw in our lot, to put pressure on government in order to work with its counterparts in the SADC region to stop this.
I think that it would have been far too late for them to stop a strike that has been planned by several weeks now, or for several weeks, because there was this tragedy that would have taken place last night. But again, let's talk about the tragedy, and let's again put the alliance partners of Cosatu at the center of it. Firstly, we're talking about undocumented labor here, which is as a result of what the government ministers are calling porous borders in South Africa. Who is responsible to ensure that only documented visitors come to this country, and only those that have work permits come into this country, and only those that have specialized skills that South African workers do not possess are allowed to come and work in this country? It is unfortunately the ANC government that has failed totally in relation to ensuring that no undocumented labor comes into South Africa. So again, if we were to march against the ANC to say, hey, as Cosatu now, you've got to do something about the extent to which it has become so easy for undocumented labor to come into this country, we as Cosatu now, they are going to be marching against themselves, because they are asking workers to continue to vote for the same in 2024. That's the first problem. The second issue that Saftu must put it on record again, we remain opposed to employment of undocumented labor by the employers, not because we've become xenophobic, but because we know that this practice on the part of the employers plays right into the sentiments of xenophobia by South Africans who are feeling increasingly under squeeze as a result of intense competition between them and undocumented labor. So where do we take that fight to? Not to workers who are desperate enough to want to cross the rivers into South Africa on the promise that this is a land of milk and honey. We take our battle to the employers and themselves to say they must stop playing and using the vulnerability of the workers. Let's again, in relation to the Zamazama issue, raise two issues. The first issue, we are told that there are over 6,000 mines that have not been properly shut down by the employers.
Whose fault is that, by the way?
6,000. It's again the government. The government is a regulator. So if Cosatu was to lead a campaign to say we've got to do something about the Zamazamas, but we will say, but the Zamazamas are making money on behalf of bigger crooks. The vulnerability of the young people of Lesotho is being exploited by probably high-powered crooks from South Africa who knows that there are 6,000 mines that have not been properly shut down in the country. So they recruit these vulnerable workers to come over. Who's responsible for that? Who should have ensured that every mine, when it is done with mining in any part of South Africa, makes sure that these mines are sealed and that it will not be possible for a Zamazama to come and find some little bit of gold and diamond. It is the government again that is totally failing the people of this country.
Well, Mr. Vavi, you've said a mouthful, but I want to end the conversation on this score. Yes, I think you and I agree that Cosatu should be marching in support of not just the people that they represent, in other words, the labor that belongs under the fold of Cosatu, but they should also be marching in protection of communities that are engulfed by these illegal mining activities by the very same Zamazamas you speak about. But here's the point, Mr. Vavi. What are you doing as another federation, the second biggest federation in South Africa, on the question of illegal mining? If you were able to see the visuals on TV, I know that you've just landed in East London. If you were to see those visuals later tonight, it is going to tug at your heartstrings, Mr. Vavi. It is sad because people are lost. These people are said to have taken gas canisters and kept them in communities, literally where the community lives. And then there was the leak. People died in their sleep. It is absolutely tragic. People like you should be up in arms, organizing.
Absolutely. Look, we've been organizing, and just to underline the fact that we have not become sweetheart or we have not become even sectarian in our approach in struggles. On the 20th of March, we were in the streets. We were protesting against, amongst others, the rising crisis of unemployment, poverty, inequalities. We were protesting against the load shedding that is leading to worsening crisis of poverty, unemployment. And unfortunately, Cosatu didn't join that strike, but everybody else did. Before that, on the 24th of August last year, we were again in another general strike highlighting exactly the same issues, including making a demand to the government that it must tighten its regulation and stop pitting workers in South Africa with their neighboring countries on economic opportunities, and that it must apply the laws of the country and must ensure that South Africa does not become a lawless country where people can have gas cylinders everywhere else because they are involved in illegal mining.
All right.
Again, the path stops with the government, unfortunately. We will continue to mobilize the working class. We will continue to make a call on Cosatu to join the broader mobilization of the working class in a non-sectarian approach, and so that we all recognize that our power individually is limited and our power can only be multiplied when we join hands with the unemployed, with the women, with people in the informal settlement, in our townships and rural areas, to make one voice to say enough is enough with the current crisis of ungovernability in the country as a result of the failures of the government in charge of us, of the country today.
Zwelinzima Vavi, let me thank you very much for your time, General Secretary of the South African Federation of Trade Unions.